you tell I'm in denial?
You can't stay at the top forever.
I was also very surprised when I looked at my phone and saw Joe Girardi dismissed.
Well, I think mine were with common sense.
I think now belongs in the all-time greats top 10.
Boston, I really think only got to this point because of a guy named Chris Middleton being out for the Bucks.
That power play just was unbearable. It was humming.
Man, am I happy. I knew that this was going to happen. I knew he was going to come back.
When I think of New York Yankees now is Judge, probably people in the past when Jeter was coming up.
I would be shocked. A little bit hurt.
Hey, this is Greg Tepper of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, TexasFootball.com, and Valley Sports Southwest. You are listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our MLB Opinions of the Week. I am Kevin, and I'm joined by the man that his team is in the ALCS, Austin.
It is. The year after your team was, my team now gets the appearance. We kind of flipped spots. I mean, last year the Yankees missed the playoffs. This year the Rangers missed the playoffs. We'll see what happens. What a series in... I think there was one really good series in both sides for the NL and the AL. In the AL, it was Tigers, Guardians. While the Yankees-Royals was good, the Tigers-Guardians was definitely the better series of the two.
Yeah, I agree. And it came down to the wire, and we talked about the Tigers. You have Scooball. Can you just get to Game 5 for Scooball? And they were able to, but what a pinch hit by... Did he pinch hit?
No. That was the game before that. Fry, who
okay.
Yeah, he pinch hit and hit the game-winning home run. But last game, which was yesterday as we're recording this, that was not a pinch hit, but still, I'm a big fan of dying how you play. I'll give you another example that's basketball related. In the 2018 Western Conference Final, the Rockets were up big, even though Chris Paul was out in Game 7, and they missed 27 straight threes and lose to the Warriors. They definitely could have won that, even though KD was healthy, even though that team was healthy, the Warriors. I think the Rockets would have won without Chris Paul if they just had hit a couple more threes. And people are like, well, why? If you missed 20 straight, why are you still shooting them? You're a three-point team. Die on that hill. And if I'm going to lose with Scooball on the mound, with him allowing 5 runs, the first runs he's ever given up in a postseason, that's how I'm going to lose. I'm totally fine with him keeping him in after that point. And like I said, I don't. You lose. You should lose how you've been playing. What got you there? Scooball's been getting you there all season, even throughout the postseason. If you die with the best guy on the mound, you just gotta tip your cap.
Yeah, and you got to tip the cap to the Guardians. Their offense had struggled a little bit. And they're not really an offensive team, but they came up with that Lane Thomas grand slam, and I remember Lane Thomas was traded. So to me, that's always nice. Just some big moments from guys that teams traded for. And we'll have to see that in other series as you have Jack Flaherty with the Dodgers.
Yeah, because I remember when we were talking about the Lane Thomas trade, even before it happened, we knew he was probably going to be traded. He was the guy to be traded. And, yeah, it's a big moment. He wouldn't have gotten this opportunity, especially this season with the Nationals. So like you said, it's nice seeing a guy like this get his chance in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I was a little bit worried about the Guardians after Clase gave up a hit, but they relied on him a lot, especially in the final game. They had him get a 5-out save.
Yes. Well, I don't think it did count as a save because of multiple innings.
Yeah. But I love the entrance for Wild Thing.
Yeah. I mean, he's one of the hardest throwers, and I do still think he's one of the best pitchers in the sport. I know this series he's given up 4 runs, but that's the first 4 runs he's ever given up in a postseason. Still the best closer in baseball. That doesn't change with a couple runs given up. And they do rely on him. They rely on their bullpen a lot. They had the best bullpen in baseball. Why not rely on it? And that's how they're going to have to, if they're going to beat the Yankees, they're going to have to rely on their bullpen and have timely hitting. And that's what they had in this series to beat the Tigers.
Yeah, and to kind of go about the Yankees-Royals, it looked like Stanton really came up and helped with a lot of the hits.
Stanton had the best series of his career. Stanton is the reason why the Yankees are moving on. That and the bullpen. The bullpen for the Yankees, which has been a problem point a large part of the year, did not give up a single run in 15 and 2/3 innings. So it's a battle of the bullpens here in the next series in the ALCS. And Judge is going to have to come to play better. But Soto, Torres, and Stanton really hallmarked a great series hitting-wise. Stanton's always been a clutch hitter. He comes to play in the biggest moments, and that hasn't changed this year.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be exciting. You mentioned just the great bullpen and how the Yankees are playing well. I'm curious about the starters. Carlos Rodon is starting game 1, and he's a big free agent acquisition. And Aaron Boone, I believe, mentioned that Hill or the rookie pitcher
Heel. Yeah.
Heel could be starting, but he won't. So that could help.
He will start a game. They just don't know what game it's gonna be.
Got it.
They don't know if it's gonna be game 3 or 4 yet.
Okay, well that I would say is a pretty good thing for the Yankees as long as Rodon plays well, because you have Cole, who I believe pitched very well in Game 5 against the Royals.
Yes, he did.
And so that, to me, it's going to be Judge. The series is going to depend on Judge. He does need to wake up, but they were able to get here without him. So to me, that gives some hope of just like the Yankees' chances to get back to a World Series.
Yeah, they haven't since 2009, and it's been a lot of ALCSs, 2017, 2019, 2022. But I like their chances. It's going to come down to starting pitching. I think the Yankees have a slight advantage there, but the Guardians had the better bullpen. And it's going to come to MVP level players. Like Stanton can play at that level, but they have Jose Ramirez and they have Steven Kwan, who had a great series against the Tigers. It's going to be a battle of wits. And I just want to pause really quickly and talk about Stephen Vogt. It's his first year as a manager, and what a year it's been. I think even if they were to get swept in the ALCS, this is significantly further than any Cleveland fan would have imagined.
Yeah, I agree. He definitely should be. They haven't announced the winners yet, but should be manager of the year. I know postseason doesn't count, but to put his team into this position has been incredible, and to rely on that bullpen and to make the right changes is a huge thing, even with some of the Class A struggle. But Vogt didn't even worry at all. So, yeah, it's pretty incredible. And, yeah, I think it should be a really exciting series. And there was a fun stat just in general. 3 of the 4 teams that had buys advanced. So there hasn't been much talk about the format this year as last year, but to me, it's been pretty exciting. There's just been some great series as well. To the NLCS or NLDS, I think. I love the Dodgers Padres. I know there were some pieces about the Padres attitude. I love attitude on the field. You have the Profar robbing a home run and acting like he didn't. It seemed like that upset a lot of people, his reaction, but I loved it.
I did think it was funny. I mean, the Dodgers and Padres is always going to be a feisty series. The fact that the Dodgers held the Padres scoreless for the last 24 innings of the game, or the series, I should say, was huge. I thought Yu Darvish pitched amazing in his Game 5 start, but it didn't matter. Yamamoto shut down the Padres, and the Padres' bats went silent. But if we're just talking about attitude, I'm totally fine with it as long as you can back it up. And the Padres usually did that early in the series, but obviously the Dodgers got the better of them at the end.
Yeah, and especially with the Dodgers, I believe they did a bullpen game, and they are considering doing a bullpen game again in this NLCS, which is something we always talk about. That's another tweet I saw. It was like, oh, the Dodgers have so many starting pitchers, and then they're doing a bullpen game in the playoffs. It's gonna be very interesting, especially with the Mets. You have the highest payroll in both CSs. You have a high payroll team and then a team that's not really as much high payroll. The Mets are weird because they did spend a lot of money, but they let a lot of those players go, such as Verlander, Scherzer. But they do have Lindor, so it's going to be an exciting series in the NLCS.
Yeah, and the one team that was in the wild card that did make it out is the Mets, and the Mets are a team that had to, in the last day of the season, had to get into the playoffs, which they did. Lindor was huge in that. He had a huge homer to get them into the playoffs, and obviously had this homer in the NLDS to move the Mets in front 4-1. It was something that I don't think many people expected, especially because the Mets were a team that coming into the year and at the beginning of the year started extremely slowly. They were 10 games below 500 at the beginning of the year, and that's not something you usually come back from, but they did. They powered through, and Pete Alonso's coming alive, and this team is really rallying around Lindor. Their starting pitching has looked really, really good, and this is going to be a hard-fought series.
Yeah, I agree. And I know I feel like you remember this, but this is going into one of my bad takes. I had the Mets missing the playoffs, and now here they are in the NLCS. So not looking good, but it's always fun having those stories of just a team that was on the outskirts, had some key plays from key players. You still have that big trade with Lindor, and it's really, I would say it's paying off for them right now.
Yeah, there's only one way to truly win the trade, though, and that's by winning a World Series.
Yes, that is a great way of saying it.
And those two teams could still meet up.
Yes. The Mets and Yankees. Or are you talking about Mets and
Guardians? Because that's the trade. Lindor left the.
Oh, I forgot about. Yeah. Ooh, that would be exciting. That would be exciting. Yeah, I've been thinking about, you do have the chance of a Subway Series for the World Series between the Mets and Yankees.
Yeah, I've always been a big Lindor and J-Ram fan, so I think it'd be really cool if they met up in a World Series. Obviously, they were a dynamic duo back in the last World Series that Cleveland went to. So seeing them face up against each other, I think would be fun. I think all the matchups are really interesting, whether it's Cleveland Mets, because like I said, that's Lindor versus J-Ram, two MVP candidates that were both are switch hitters, both were best buddies, both are infielders that were great teammates with each other and now have gone their own ways. There's Mets Yankees Subway Series, and then Dodgers Yankees is one of the most played World Series ever. I know it was a lot of Brooklyn Dodgers against the New York Yankees, but it's the same team, same organization. So I don't think there's a bad series we could have.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't put together the Mets and Guardians, but yeah, that would be great. And Yankees and Dodgers would just be two heavyweights. You talked about just the history, but those are marquee franchises. And to me, that would be also exciting, just that level. And something we could have had if the Astros didn't cheat. So
that's true. And I even if it's Guardians, Dodgers, I think the Dodgers had the highest payroll, correct?
I would say yes, because it has to be, especially with what they did. And I've been thinking about if the Dodgers, so it's still it lists 2024. It's weird. Total payroll. It has the Mets at 1, Yankees at 2, Houston at 3 and 4. And this is on Spot Track. But a lot of that Mets is from the money they traded. So, but yeah, you have the Dodgers, who are a team that went out and bought, and the Guardians, where it's rookie manager and just developing talent and just keeping with their pitching. So yeah, all would be exciting. And even if the Dodgers do win or even make the World Series, we talked about this when they signed Ohtani and spent all that money, it still wouldn't give them that win in signings because of just the level they spent.
They should, even though they're not the highest, the way they formatted the Ohtani contract, I'm going to put them as the highest because that's another $68 million that's not on the books. Remember, they're paying Ohtani $2 million this year instead of the $70 that should be this season.
Yeah, no, I agree, and just the way they spent was incredible, and they still got a lot to prove, and all these teams do, and I think it's been a really exciting playoffs. So that is all I got. I'll let you close this one out.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening. Please let us know what your thoughts are about the ALCS, NLCS, who you guys think are going to win, and how do you think these series will pan out. Thank you guys for listening.